Hi, this is Eric Stromquist. Welcome to ControlTalk NOW, your smart buildings videocast and podcast for the week ending April 23rd, 2017. This is episode 222, where we talk about all things smart controls. And I am joined, as usual, by my co-host and your co-host, the man, the myth, the legend, the one, the only ex-Easter Bunny, Kenny Smiles from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Kenny, welcome to the show. Big dog.
Well, thank you very much, Eric. 222, that is a great number. That's a lottery number, isn't it? Or is that a show number? It just has a good ring to it. 222.
It should be a lottery number. So everybody wants to know why we haven't posted pictures of you in your Easter Bunny costume from last week.
It wouldn't be much to see, but no, I did see the Stromquist family had some wonderful pictures of the holidays, and that was kids are the cutest on Easter. You know, when they have the Easter hunt and you put eggs everywhere and you let loose the family kids go out there and just go bananas trying to find all the eggs, and you got a couple hidden, and it's just so much fun to watch the celebration these children have.
Well, we did that, and my wife is just awesome. So we, did the plastic eggs, and she put stuff in them, but she's so smart. She put like raisins in there, and healthy snacks like little carrots and stuff like that. So there wasn't any chocolate at our household. And I can tell you that the kids were still as excited. They were just still excited. And so they ate the raisins, they ate their carrots. It was all good stuff.
Good.
But they wanted to see Uncle Ken in his Easter Bunny costume.
What is with this Easter Bunny costume? There's no Easter Bunny costume.
Rita told me you got dressed up in an Easter Bunny costume. That's Kenny's wife is Rita Smiles. And yeah, as a matter of fact, I might even have pictures I might have to post later. So, come on now.
Yeah. No.
Oh, well, maybe that wasn't an Easter costume. Okay, never mind. Let's move on, Kenny.
Okay.
So, hey, man.
Right. It was a heck of a week.
It was a heck of a week. I think we can kind of sum it up with, among other things, sort of out with the old and in with the new, and we've got two fantastic guests coming up. So we're not gonna talk a whole lot about the post last week, but we did have a lot of great stuff on the post. But Kenny, out with the old, in with the new, buddy.
Well, yes, Honeywell came out with the new advanced RTU controls retrofit solution that I think it's just a very consummate effort. Whoever put that package together, it's got a great story with it. So not only do they have some great products that they synergy, put them all together and make it just an awesome application for rooftop units. There's a great story. I said 12 million RTUs are out there looking for servicing, and Honeywell's got the products from A to Z to do it, and they put it on the silk bus. But most importantly, they put this thing called this. It is an application guide that's one of the most comprehensive application guides I've ever seen. It's got the selling information in there, so from the salespeople, they could use this document to sell it. They've got the Vision Pro thermostat feature with the EIM equipment integration module. I tell you, it's just a great project that somebody did, and the parts list with the VFDs, the sequence of operation, using the Jade economizer. This is a really, really good, well thought out, just an awesome retrofit that they give you the paybacks. So the marketing's done. So I just give Honeywell a lot of credit.
Well, they're just missing one thing with the marketing, which is we got to get David Witherspoon or somebody to come on to the show, because if it's not on, if you haven't got your video on Control Trends yet, your marketing is not complete. And one of the great things about this industry, Kenny, and one of the great things about working for Honeywell is you're going to get so well trained that somebody's going to come along and make you an offer you can't refuse. And that might be the mafia, but it might be just another great company. So, another sort of bit of breaking news this week is our good friend, one of the consummate execs at Honeywell, Rob Anderson, was made an offer he couldn't refuse. So he is moving on. So we wish Rob Anderson all the best. And I think it just goes to show this industry, if you stick with this industry, work hard, you do the right things, your golden parachute will come in.
Sure. Well, yep. They got some big shoes to fill. Roger Ebenak left to go to CEO of Jackson Controls, and now Rob's moved on. So, like you said, these guys work hard.
Yeah, and I had a conversation with David Witherspoon from Honeywell yesterday, and it's like Honeywell's kind of like I don't want to say the New England Patriots, but the Pittsburgh Steelers, but it's like next man up. They've just got a lot of great people in the wings waiting to come in. So. Honeywell is alive and kicking. They're going to continue to do well. And I think, one of the other new things they introduced this week was their new VFDs.
That'll be a post a little later on, but we'll cover it right now and use the 2-for-1 model because they introduced a new VFD, and it's this one here is designed for HVAC applications, and it's also for price. This is your down and dirty, let's get it done type of VFD where nothing that's not required is in it. Its protocol is Modbus, and it's to be simple and sweet. And it's called the HVAC2. It's the new improved variable frequency drive from Honeywell. So that's going to be a big seller, I'm sure. We had some other new products come in. It was a heck of a week. We had Belimo came in with the new products and innovations for 2017. Gary Weber sent out a very nice electronic document that had just a whole lot of information where Belimo's going. Not only do they have a new sensor line that David Alaban, our friend, formerly with Thermocon, he now is running a new sensor division for Belimo. But 40 years, Belimo's been successful, focused on HVAC and the relationship with their employees, and it's all trust-based, and they add value, and they focus on sustained prosperity for all of their customers, and they do a great job. And this, if you go into our website there and you take a look at the sensors, the Belimo Energy Valve and the Quick Connect Valve, those links take you to the dynamic site there. Belimo's got a great website. So well done, Belimo.
Well done, Belimo. And then our good friends at Sierra Monitor Corporation, they launched a new cloud-based connected discovery management application, which is good stuff. So we got that with the new, and then out with the old KMC.
Right? Well, see, KMC's, they've moved forward with their controllers, and they've done a great job. But there's always that legacy stuff that you have an obligation to kind of give everybody a last run. So if you wanted to buy some of these legacy BACnet controllers, the BAC 5800 series and the BAC 7000 series, you got about 2 more weeks, now probably a week, before these things will be sunsetted, and you're not going to just have to work and integrate to the next version.
Which why wouldn't you? Because the new controllers are so great. But Kenny, I tell you what, like I said, we got some great guests this week, and I think that's sort of the out with the old, in with the new part of the show. And then I think after our first guest, we'll talk a little bit about the accolades. A lot of our companies got some fantastic accolades. So without further ado, our first guest is teed up and ready to go, Kenny. So how about introducing our guest? All right, Kenny, I am so pumped up about our first guest. Tell us who we got on the Skype.
Love to, Eric. We have a gentleman, Ruairi M. Barnwell, principal from DLR Group, a global company with amazing depth of staff. Welcome to the show, Ruairi.
Welcome, Roy.
Thanks, guys. Hi, guys. How's it going?
Going great, man. It's going great. Well, we are so excited to have you here. You got quite a fan base, not just us, but people like Frost Sullivan, Ken Sinclair from Automated Buildings, the folks from Haystack Connect. So we got a lot to talk about, but let's sort of start off with tell us about DLR and what you guys do and what makes you sort of different and unique.
Yeah, absolutely. And just thanks again, guys. I'm really excited to be on the show. So DLR Group, we're a large architectural engineering design firm. I lead the building optimization practice within the firm. So really, I'm here in Chicago. Downtown Chicago right now, beautiful day. So we focus specifically on optimizing everything through design, construction, operations of buildings. DLR Group, probably best known in the industry as a education design firm. We're the largest education design firm in the world. So just for context, we've got maybe just over 1,000 people in 26 offices around the world. But that education piece probably makes up about 40% of the overall revenue. So we're also working people like Google. Just finished up a really cool project for Google in their Kirkland facility in Washington State, which was recognized last week as the best green project of 2016 by Engineering News Record. So we're pretty proud of that.
It should be.
Well done, yeah.
Yeah. And so that's kind of a good, where we kind of fit into that between the different core sectors at DLR Group. You'd be surprised with what's going on in the classroom versus what's going on in the workplace, and the differences, the similarities in terms of building performance are really striking.
Well, I tell you what, now that you bring that up, we're going off script right away, buddy.
Yeah,
this is
that's the way I like it.
This is great stuff. Well, I know you're familiar, and Kenny and I have talked a lot about this on the show. A term called the $300 rule, which the real estate people, sort of bat around. That basically you're spending $3 a square foot, on your lease. Roughly, you're spending $30 on all the equipment and the stuff that goes in there, and there's $300 that you're paying on average for the people that are in the space. So the big game seems to be, hey, let's maximize that $300 spend by making the environment a better place to work. If we can get more productivity. And so let's just dive right into that, and let's talk about that, and let's talk about how you guys view that vis-a-vis. You mentioned that there's similarities and differences between your commercial building clients and your K through 12 or your school clients. Could you sort of talk about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I guess first of all, I think they made up that rule just to make fun of Irish people because we can't say our THs, so it's 330, 300.
Nice.
As I say that from 333 West Wacker in downtown Chicago, so I can't get away from it, But absolutely, yeah. I think right now, in our space, energy is no longer a differentiator, a selling point. If you're not energy efficient, you need to, pick a different business. The big piece of the pie is impacting the productivity, the well-being, elevating the human experience of buildings. In addition, we're at a critical juncture in the industry right now where we're on a path to net zero. Some states are ahead of others. We're doing a lot of work in California right now with Title 24. There's some really exciting, from our perspective, state executive orders that have been issued for, entities like California community colleges, where they're on a path to net zero by 2025. So they have to have, per the California state executive order, 50% of their existing square footage at net zero, and 100% of all new construction after 2025 needs to be zero net energy. So that's it. That's the line in the sand drawn for energy perspective.
Whoa. Let me just back up on that real quick. Kenny, I'm sorry, you're going to get to hop in here sometime, but this is just sparking so much. So when you say net zero, is that really realistic? And are they doing this through analytics, or are they going to be doing this through, obviously probably a combination of things, but you guys are right at the heart of that. So you guys know how to make this happen. Is that?
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah. Analytics play a massive part in it. The pieces of equipment and widgets are as efficient as they're going to be. How we operate the equipment, how, the control sequences that we implement. that's critical for about, 40% of the path getting there. Obviously renewables play a big part, and efficient design plays a huge part. But I guess the bigger challenge, the bigger conundrum as an industry is, it's real easy to make a net zero building, right? We just build a bunker with no windows and no lights and no air conditioning or heating. So it needs to be a pleasant place to be. And back to your, in terms of workplace, in terms of the classroom, if we're not elevating the student experience, if we're not impacting the productivity and like people like Google, they're doing it because they're Google, right? But at the end of the day, they're aware of that 300 part of the pie because they have their presumably well compensated engineers working on the next, whatever Google are coming out with. And it's in their best interest to make sure that those guys are, happy and healthy and in a work environment that has adequate daylight and is acoustically comfortable and is thermally comfortable, has nice indoor air quality, in addition to being energy efficient. So energy efficiency is a given. That one project was a LEED Platinum project. That, that is what it is. It's in Washington State, which is one of the most progressive energy codes in the land. So, as I said, energy efficiency was a given. Elevating the human experience is really where the fun part comes in. That's where we need to bring the smart folks to the table.
Nice.
Rory, there's 1,000 questions to ask you because it seems like you're all over the newest trends, and coming from California, Title 24 gives us all a national directive, kind of what to expect, and the net zero by 2025. That's really, really aggressive and optimistic. But what got you into the building operational analytics and controls?
Well, I kind of grew up in the MEP design world here in Chicago. I grew up literally in Ireland, but I moved to Chicago. So I've been in Chicago now almost 20 years. But, I guess moving over, as you guys know, I know you're heading on a trip over to
That's
Manchester,
right.
England, and you've been around Europe, so the deal over there. People are just inherently more conscious of energy consumption, and I think that's a direct result of the price they're paying per kilowatt hour in Europe versus here, and you see that on the East Coast, and see that in California as well. So, I think for me personally, I started to see a big disconnect early on in my career between predictive energy, designed energy, and operational energy. And really, we're in a very, we're in a very siloed industry right now in terms of design folks, in terms of contractors, and construction folks, and in terms of people who operate buildings. And we're getting around that corner, and there's a lot of positive things happening, and especially in the last 5 years or so. But really, there's still that disconnect there in terms of MEP design guys are not hardwired for feedback. If you're getting a call from the building owner 2 years after the building's constructed, 9 times out of 10, that's not a good call, and you're probably sweating a little bit when you see that caller ID pop up. But that shouldn't be the case, right? I mean, you should.
Right.
From our perspective, at DLR Group's perspective, we take a holistic look on building performance, and we feel like we need to take ownership of that energy performance, of the other aspects of high performance building design, as I said, the other elements that are hitting the 300 part of the pie. And now it was easier said than done, easier to talk about that, but now with the advances in analytical tools and just advances in controls in general, it's a lot easier for us to not only track the energy use intensity, the biggest, fattest label we can.
Tell us a little bit more about that, like some of the tools you have. Like I was on your website, and it's a very impressive website, and there's just so much of information, a lot of awards. You guys have just you have a stellar record. But the Control Trends audience knows a lot about the building operational analytics and dealing with real-time data, and we've seen software evolve over the last 5-10 years, but it's amazing. But you guys are really doing something spectacular with some state-of-the-art predictive building performance analytics and energy modeling. Tell us a little bit about the BIM modeling stuff you guys do.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think as an industry, the design world has come on an awful lot, and the tools we have in terms of the energy modeling, building simulation, building performance analysis tools that we have early on in conceptual design phase that we have to predict. If we're designing that building from Google, that the schematic conceptual design phase for that building, when we're literally putting pen to paper on, the form and mass of that building. So we've got some excellent tools to look at everything from control strategies to, are we going to, implement a natural ventilation strategy, or solar shading, or thermal massing, the orientation of the building, how that impacts overall energy use and building performance. So they're the types of big decisions that we're making early on. I guess now with, being able to wrap in that analytics on the back end, and bookend the really detailed analytics on the front end of design, and now the detailed operational analytics on the back end of design, i.e. operations, we're really able to close the design loop as an industry, and that's really DLR Group, our team. That's kind of, I feel like, energy modeling is kind of, the ASHRAE folks, the IBIPSA folks, the International Building Performance Simulation Association. They're the types of super smart people that are doing that type of analytics early on in design. And we've got Amar Preet, who was featured in Teresa's Automated Buildings last month. People like Amar Preet,
Right.
in our Seattle office, doing her analytics early on. And then people like Ben Talbot, who's presenting with John Petsy and Mark Peacock at Haystack Connect. So marrying up both those skill sets at the front and back end of design, that's critical in our opinion.
Agreed. And my question for you is again, I think you hit the nail on the head. Our industry, from where we're coming from, the building automation side, I mean, I think we've got the energy modeling and that. I mean, that continues to evolve, but we got a good handle on it. This whole $300 rule we're talking about, which is the operational, or the, how do we have people be more efficient? What sort of performance indicators, what do you measure to know if you're improving that or not improving that?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, and really we have a whole new set of KPIs, key performance indicators in addition to energy use per square foot. Maybe about 4 or 5 years ago, we realized we do a lot of master planning for large school districts and large college campuses. And as I said, with this, a couple of clients we're working with, a couple of California community colleges we're working with right now, trying to help them through this executive order. They realized that EUI is not a low energy building does not necessarily equate to a high performance building, and that's really it in a nutshell.
Great distinction.
So and so that's really it in a nutshell. And so what are the other key performance indicators? Well, indoor air quality is one. So all of our buildings, we track the post occupancy IAQ. So we can follow ASHRAE 62.1 and follow all the design best practices, but really there's no closing of that loop in our industry right now in terms of, absolutely, the design, top-notch design firms, they're obviously going to follow all the best practice in design, but they have very little control over what gets installed, what's going on operationally. So in a nice way, I think we're seeing a trend towards a more outcome-based compliance. We are in energy, that's 100%. We've got a formalized PAT in the code in most progressive states for an outcome-based compliance from an energy perspective, i.e., don't go through the tables in the code book. Just show me afterwards. We've got that written. We've got some of our Seattle public school projects where we've mandated a 20 EUI into our contract. Getting buildings set up for zero net energy ready. So getting them down to pat for zero net energy, so that when it's financially practical for them to continue and just get over the line with renewables or whatever, that they can do that. But in addition to that outcome-based compliance in the energy, we're also seeing it for the other key performance indicators. Materials play a huge part. The materials that we select for a project in terms of the off-gassing of VOCs, ensuring that the building's adequately ventilated. That's one we all know about. So CO2 levels are one that's probably the easiest one to talk about. Everyone kind of gets that. Above 1,000 parts per million, you're not well ventilated. Below, you probably are. But again, tracking that indoor air quality, tracking thermal comfort, doing post occupancy surveys, doing, that's and I know you guys are, you see products like Comfy, specifically dedicated to that thermal comfort part of the pie.
It really seems like it's too diverse sort of a goals you're trying to accomplish, right? Because zero net energy and carbon neutrality versus optimal. Because it could be argued that key performance, employee performance is based on comfort, right? Which is such a subjective thing. And it would be easy if you could do one or the other, right? Because if you just want to make people comfortable, you just give them all their heating and air conditioning units and let them have complete control. And they're taken care of. So what a challenge, to balance those two, because they sort of pull opposite.
Right. And ultimately, at the end of the day, it sounds cheesy, but our client is the kids in the classroom. If we're not elevating their learning environment, if we're not making that classroom a better place to sit and learn and optimize daylight, too much daylight, glare is bad as well. So you got to get it right. Acoustics, not having unit ventilators kicking on and off in the classroom, having a well-balanced air distribution system, in addition to indoor air quality, as I said, thermal comfort, and then, last but not least, energy performance.
So I want to, this is a personal question, okay, because I need some help here. And so, because I'm going to ask you very specifically about lighting and the psychological effect of lighting, because that's something Kenny and I have been exploring a little bit. Me, to the point that I want to do some of my own personal research. I went and bought the Philips light bulbs, and where you can do the different scenes, the different colors, put them upstairs, and it had no effect with my wife. Okay, she just gets upset about the pink lights or the purple lights or whatever. I've tried every combination possible. So, talk if you would. I'm sort of being a bit facetious, but Kenny and I, we keep hearing over and over about, lighting and the effect it can have on mood and performance and everything else. From your guys' perspective, is that myth or reality? And if so, how do you guys sort of dial that in? Are there some sort of general guidelines that you could talk about?
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, I think for one thing, you're seeing things like the WELL building standard. That's an evolution of how important things like, so the WELL building standard, if you're familiar or not, it was it's kind of similar setup to LEED, but it's the only standard that's 100% focused on the building occupants. There's no energy credits or whatever, So lighting's a huge one in that. So circadian rhythm, have an adequate amount of light at the right time of the day. It's huge in terms of the cognitive function of the kids' learning ability. There's all sorts of studies available there. There's a lot of lighting, LED upgrades in existing buildings that very little thought was given in terms of the students or the workers in the workplace. A lot, we're driven by energy savings. We're driven by utility incentives. And I think not very much thought at all given to the actual environment that people need to experience. So yeah, I'd say very much so. Lighting's not my personal expertise, but we've got some of the best lighting designers in we do a lot of performing arts centers, and so we've got a lighting and acoustics specialty. They're out of our Cleveland office actually, but those guys, the level of detail that they get to in terms of lighting is unreal.
Well, listen, I'm hoping maybe I can get those guys and girls on board, maybe do a little consultancy with me so that I adjust the lights in my house so I look more attractive to my wife, okay?
Oh, we can do that, yeah.
Kenny, what do you have? What's next?
It's really good stuff. And again, I just, the way you're so fluent in all these subjects, and it's just so informative. But DLR Group differentiates itself in many ways, but how does DLR Group differentiate its operational analytics?
I'd say, we're getting down to the systems level. There's a lot of, matching up operational EUI and design EUI is not rocket science. And, we've been doing it as an industry for a while now. Really, the power for me is, and the analytics have been around for a while too, but now they're practical, they're cost effective. We can get visibility down to the zone level, where before we were just looking at a building level or at a meter level. So being able to impact building operations at a system level, and at the end of the day, give our real clients are the chief engineers of the building, giving those guys a prioritized list of capital improvements that
Awesome. And then how do you utilize the Connex Energy Connection platform? Out of curiosity.
That's exactly it. We've got smart people on board, and we've got really smart partners in the industry. We know where, our expertise is in analyzing data and providing solutions. Our expertise is not data management, data gathering, so we've got great partners in the industry. Connex are one of those partners, super smart guys, them
Sure.
very well. And if we can get the data flow out of a building, get that taken care of in a easier fashion, allows our building performance analysts to do the real work that they're good at, is analyzing building operations and making prioritized recommendations.
Awesome.
Very cool. So describe, I think you've sort of indicated this, and again, you guys are global. You're doing stuff all over the world. We've obviously talked about education. We've talked about buildings. Describe, if you would, for our Control Trends audience, sort of your ideal customer in terms of maybe a group you haven't gotten to yet that doesn't know about what you guys do, and sort of describe, the process. If somebody wanted to work with you guys, how does that process typically work? Do they...
We work across all of our core sectors, and we work with pretty much every building type right now. Just because it's pretty recent and it's top of mind, maybe I'd say the ideal customer is someone like a community college or a college campus that not only is very aware of performance of their buildings today, but has a master plan in place for the next 25 years. These guys literally have planned out every building till 2041. Wow. And we're helping them with the EUI of their existing buildings, giving them a path to net zero for their existing building square footage, and they have the foresight to, engage us to perform an energy and building performance master plan that we're literally giving the building performance for buildings that are not going to be built for 10 years, 15 years down the line. So that's the foresight they need, but they need to do that. For one thing, they have to do it; it's regulation, but that's just how these public entities balance out their capital funding for they have it all mapped out for the next 10, 15, 20 years. So that's kind of cool. And people like Google, we were working with those guys before the well building standard came out, and they're just so progressive, obviously, and people like that in that sphere that get the building performance part and see past the pure energy part.
Well, I tell you what, one of the challenges that we sort of run into in our industry, and I want to see how you guys address this, because it sounds like what you guys do is you guys create the master plan. Here's what you need to do. And plans typically are only as good as the tools or the products that get put in to do it, right? And now you're dealing with, it sounds like a lot of public entities. So they've got to go through the bid process, and, low bid wins, right? And usually, you've got these plans. How do you advise your customers, or are you involved sort of in the bidding and selection process, or how do you advise them to make sure that they don't fall in the trap of penny wise, pound foolish?
Right, and I mean, to be honest, that's a huge part of what we face in a day-to-day challenge in terms of, my group and just in general. I mean, as you know, there's some awesome vendors and applications out there right now, but a lot of them have kind of sort of the same sales pitch and maybe a little bit different. I mean, right now there's a ton of noise in our industry, and clients are having a real hard time trying to figure out, okay, should I be getting locked into system A versus B? And so at the end of the day, we're consulting engineers. We need to remain agnostic to different, systems and vendors, and ultimately offer the best solution for our clients at the end of the day. But we have so many awesome options, open source, open protocol. That's why we're so excited about, Haystack. It just makes our lives so much easier in terms of dealing with data, operational data, buildings. Well, real quick, we talk a lot about Haystack, Rory, and talk about significantly for you, because one of the things we take it from the integrator side is if Haystack's in there, your cost to get the data is going to go way down because of the tagging. What else can you say about Haystack? And as a matter of fact, I believe you're going to be speaking at Haystack this year. So if people are sort of on the bubble about not going to Haystack, let's get them there. Yeah, absolutely. It's actually Ben Talbot, one of our senior building performance analysts, is going to be down there. He's on a Haystack panel that John Petsy and Mark Peacock are moderating. So we're really excited about that, and it's just a great place to be. It's we're really excited that whole side of the industry. There's so much pushing the envelope in terms of building performance and analytics, and we're really excited to be there.
Very, very cool. Well, I have one more question. I know Kenny probably has some more too, but my question for you, Roy, is we do have a lot of building chiefs, which sounds like they're right in your place. You have a lot of K through 12. We have a lot of users. We have a lot of consulting engineers. We have a lot of integrators that view the show. Let's go specifically for the owners of the building chiefs. If you could give them one piece of advice about their building, and that might be in the form of a mistake you see owners make that maybe you guys go back and fix, what would that be?
Here in Chicago, we're pretty tight with the local 399 building operators union. We've got some excellent chief engineers here locally, and super smart guys. As I said, most of our recommendations, 8 or 9 times out of 10, they knew it anyway. It was a hunch they had. We're just putting numbers to it and building a business case. When an engineer says it, when a design engineer says it, and puts it in black and white, somehow it becomes more, more real. But the chief engineer's probably been saying it for like 3 or 4 years. So I'd say, in terms of advice, don't get sucked in by the way sales pitches, and things are not that complicated. We can, when you zoom out a little bit and look at what you really need, and bring, I'm not talking about us, DLR Group, but there's so many smart people in the industry. Bringing them to the table at the right time, and just leaning on, Project Haystack, just simplifies data between. Pulling data out of buildings is actually not as complicated as people think it is. So just zoom out a little bit, and don't get locked in. Don't don't go down blind alleys. It's actually simple enough to get to that level of detail.
Well, I think what you said about the noise, and this is something Kenny and I've seen is a trend we track. There's so many options out there, and everybody, obviously, if you're in business, you're trying to get a unique spin, if you will, on why your product is better than anybody else's. And I think it does create a lot of noise, and I think that's where companies like yours can really sort of get in and help people sift through it, keep people from making mistakes, and just get down to it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, and one more thing, I mean, with the building operators, I mean, as I said, we're in a good community here in Chicago, and chiefs have been running their buildings really well for years. Now we're kind of getting to the point where we can validate and, show real numbers for, in addition to, their day job of putting out hot and cold calls and trying to reduce those energy bills so the property management team looks good and everyone looks good. And these guys have been spinning these plates for years. Now we can finally show them, hey, guys, actually, you're doing pretty good. This building's performing well in terms of, you got some happy occupants and you're a 95 Energy Star. But, there's always room for improvement. There's a lot.
The teacher of mine once said, in God we trust and all else get data.
Well,
I like it.
Rory, I had really, I don't know if it's a question even, but on your website, you have some really awesome information, but I really enjoyed reading when I heard your mission statement and your goal is to elevate the human experience of buildings through smart building design and control strategies. So we're all about that. But in summary, kind of how does DLR Group achieve that?
I mean, I think it's everything we just talked about, I mean, we've got, I said there's 1,000 design professionals at DLR Group, and, we're bringing everything from, the smartest architects in the business, the smartest engineers in the business to the table. As I said, energy performance is a given. At the end of the day, we got, these guys have to, you don't get awards for, poor looking buildings. The buildings need to be attractive, we need to have beauty and design at the end of the day too. But if those buildings are not performing, it's kind of a waste of time. So elevating the human experience, that's really, at the end of the day, the kids in the classroom,
awesome.
The computer engineers in the workplace trying to remain productive.
And Eric at his house with his Eric at his house and with his matrimony situation. I mean, I'm definitely getting offline. I'm getting that lighting information from you. So listen, I think we're going to have to hop off here, but thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us. We want to get you back on the show. We want to
absolutely
see you down in Hayes. How do people get hold of you guys? What's the best website or how?
Just go to dlrgroup.com. If you're looking for me specifically, just go to the Chicago page and you'll find me on there. We'll be, we're always out and about on the circuit presenting and stuff like that. As I said, Haystack Connect coming up, CX Energy coming up, and Living Futures in Seattle as well. That kind of spectrum, Living Futures is really the kind of Uber high performance building net zero conference. And, I think that in itself, just in the next 2 weeks, kind of encapsulates everything about our building optimization team. Bringing people like Amar Preet and Shona and those guys with people like Ben Talbot, who's going to be at Haystack Connect. So it's exciting. Yeah, I'd love to come back on the show. Great, and I'm excited to hear how you guys do over at Manchester United. I'm not a big fan of Manchester
United. Who do you pull for? Who's your team?
Well, this shirt I'm wearing right now is Chicago Fire because I'm on my way to a soccer. I got to go coach some U10 girls here in a couple of.
Nice. Wait, is your daughter? Is your daughter one of them? Nice.
Yeah,
that's nice. Yeah. Well, Atlanta's got a new soccer club now too.
Yeah, Atlanta United. Yeah, it's awesome.
Come down to Atlanta. We'll go to a game.
I have to give my niece a shout out. My sister's daughter plays professional soccer for Bayern München in Germany. Her name's Gina Lewandowski.
Oh, wow.
And she was recently touted as being the best American player in Europe, soccer player. So
wow,
we love soccer too in our family.
That's fantastic. Well, when you guys are over in Manchester, make sure and ask them how many European Cups they won, because I'm a Liverpool
We're
fan,
going to Liverpool. All right,
cool.
My friend. Well, listen, thanks so much.
Great stuff.
Good luck with those 10 years olds, and look forward to seeing you again.
Cheers,
Roy.
guys. Pleasure. We'll chat to you soon.
Bye,
all the best.
Bye.
Okay. Thanks, guys.
Hey, that was just awesome stuff from Roy. And we kind of had another really cool post that goes hand in glove with what Roy was talking about. It was a podcast that Frost Sullivan turned us on to, and great stuff. You can listen to the audio stream on Control Trends, and I don't know, did you get a chance to look at that or listen to that yet? It's pretty phenomenal stuff.
Well, it is, and it's not going to go away. So the more you know about it, the more perspectives you get on it, I think the better we can incorporate it into what we need to do to sell it. Because analytics is just it's just going to get better as we get better data management. And they do a better job of sorting out data, making it actionable data, important data. Now you're going to be able to sell the analytic aspects of it. And as we all know, we've got some of that's embedded into the FG32 CPT tool that has analytics in it, the Niagara N4, it has analytics in it. So it's
no,
always.
I'll tell you what, I don't think it's going to be optional. I think we're getting to the point where analytics is going to be expected. It would be like, having a controller without a sensor. So I think that's one of the trends is that the manufacturers are all putting this. If you're an integrator or even a distributor, you need to get versed in analytics in all its many, many different dimensions. I mean, it's a very wide-ranging topics. I mean, it's a little bit like saying, golf, right? I mean, you got a wide variety of players. There are different ways you can play the game. There are different clubs you can use, and it's a very diverse sort of topic, and that's where it's so great to have, this podcast with James Lee, as well as, what Roy was talking about. But, dude, let's move on because we got another guest teed up and ready to go. But let's talk about, it was a big week of accolades this week, right, Kenny? I mean, lots of our companies got recognized.
Well, I tell you, Frost and Sullivan applauds Lynxspring's strategic thought leadership and technical excellence, making it a top contender in the smart buildings market. So, our friends at Lynxspring got a nice pat on the back there because, Frost and Sullivan recognizes, the top people in whatever, innovative industry they're in. And to get to their list, you've got to go through some criteria. But the superior flexibility, speed, and reliability of Lynxspring's innovative solutions that are accelerating the IoT trend in the North America market has been recognized. So Lynxspring has developed a strategic offering of exceptional value of multiple points of the IoT chain, providing connectivity, integration, and interoperability to thousands of facilities and governments, military bases, commercial buildings, schools, and universities, said Frost and Sullivan, principal consultant, Korkonka Kant.
Dude, don't even try to say that name. Now, let's leave it at, hey, congratulations, Mark Peacock, Terry
I can't even spell it. I'm sorry.
And those guys. It's good stuff, man. But hey, it doesn't surprise me with the leadership team they have over there with Terry and Bob Mealy and our good friend Mark Peacock.
It's a great job.
So, all right, who else got acknowledged this week, Kenny?
Well, I tell you what, it's really the most amazing thing is I just took myself offline there, but Johnson Controls. So I was just minding my own business, reading along there, and I come across this article that Johnson Controls was named 16th best corporate citizen by Corporate Responsibility magazine. And this is really neat. I mean, we learned a lot of stuff there from Rory about, Title 24 in California and how progressive, but the world has eyes everywhere all the time, and you're always being ranked and you're always being, kind of categorized with your peers. But there's a company that does a job. They take a ranking of responsible organizations based on 7 points, and it is really kind of cool. So there's Russell 1000 Index ranks 260 data points across 7 categories: environment, climate change, employee relations, human rights, governance, finance and philanthropy, and community support. And Johnson Controls made 16th out of the 1,000 companies and has been in the top 25 for 11 years running. So that says a lot about corporate management, corporate responsibility, corporate accountability. Well done, Johnson Controls.
Well, yeah, all you got to do is go back and look at some of our interviews with some of the Johnson executives like Jenny Stentz and Chris Eichmann, and it doesn't surprise me, man. It really doesn't surprise me.
Well, it used to be that, Milton Friedman said that, that corporations didn't have to have a responsibility or a conscience. The whole motive was to make money, and now we see that's just entirely different. The leadership, the corporate level, CEOs and the people that make commitments on behalf of their companies, they got to follow through, and then there's got to be a relationship to the environment. There's got to be an incredible commitment to your employees, and still make money. So it's a tricky formula. It's a tricky equation, but you can never assume in this day and age with social media and everybody running around with iPhones that every day you're just, there's eyes and ears everywhere, in the world.
No,
and
your reputation is a major part of your brand, and being responsible, socially responsible, becomes part of your brand. You got to have it. You got to have it. You got to have it.
Right.
All right.
There's one more.
We acknowledge both our friends at Functional Devices and Contemporary Controls. We had a Control Trends Awards highlight video. You can see all the excitement as they won Peripheral Product of the Year. It's a tie there. Right. And our good friend Mike Salvador Dolly Welch. He's a California guy now, right? Congratulations, Salvador.
Yeah, I don't know how it's going to work because he's out of England, but I'm sure it's a boost, and I'm sure he's just absolutely delighted because he's worked and committed himself professionally all these years, and I think typically these are buyouts and normally they're very rewarding. So hopefully Mike Welsh was rewarded.
You're buying next time we get together, Mike.
Yeah, Mike.
You pick the bar tab up for sure. Hey, Kenny, our next guest is keyed up and ready to go. This is an exciting young man with an exciting company that sort of flies under the radar. So without further ado, let's bring him on.
All right, Eric. Our next guest is Drew Mire, CEO of Computrol Inc. out of New Orleans, Louisiana. Computrol designs and manufactures all their building automation products at their technology center in New Orleans, and they also provide all their services and everything's out of New Orleans. Welcome to the show, Drew.
Hey, welcome, Drew.
Thank you guys for having me. I'm excited about this.
Well, we're excited too, and Computrol's been around for a long, long time, but you guys sort of, we don't hear a lot about you. So for our listeners out there who might not be familiar with Computrol, tell us about what you guys do and what makes you sort of unique and different.
Well, you're right in the fact that Computrol has been around for a while, and we've kind of flew under the radar. We've done some really big stuff over the course of those years, but we don't do a great job of marketing and getting it out there. And we're looking to change that and getting engaged with things of this nature. For the last 30 years, we've been really focused on making the very simplest to use building automation products on the market. One of our core competencies is the fact that we have lots of end users that are able to be what we refer to as self-performers. They can install, service these systems in-house, make changes to their systems. They have a lot of freedom and flexibility. That's one of the cornerstones of our platform.
Great. And I noticed too, just to talk in general terms here, that y'all do, besides HVAC, you also do fire and life safety and access control. So you provide a pretty integrated product offering, huh?
That's absolutely correct. It's actually one software that encompasses HVAC controls, lighting control, access control, and fire alarm. Kind of sort of stated that we've been flying under the radar. Our fire life safety system is actually installed at the Statue of Liberty and Ellis Island, along with our HVAC controls. Nice. So we have kind of a large presence, however, in some big places where our stuff is installed. However, it's just we've flown under the radar, as you mentioned.
Well, it's easy to change, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Eric.
No, I was just going to say, maybe you're like one of the best kept secrets in the controls industry, huh?
Absolutely. There's no doubt there.
Yeah. So one of the things I'm hearing you say is, the system's easy to use. People that want to self-perform, you get more and more people that do that. Product's right for that. Describe your ideal customer, if you would, Drew.
Our ideal customer is going to be somebody that really gets and loves HVAC controls. I mean, one of our owners, Kevin Lynch, he's just absolutely passionate about what he does. I mean, he still wakes up every day and puts on a tech tool bag and goes to work and gets it done. And he really drives a lot of that innovation and intuitiveness of our software and our hardware platform. He's out there in the front lines. And when you get in front of that customer that really understands and wants to learn and really has a passion for making that building run more efficiently and looking at the things that they can do, that's really our ideal sweet spot customer is one that's encouraged and motivated to go out and be a self-performer.
All right. Well, I got to ask you a question because Kenny and I talk a lot about one of the trends we've been tracking is we call it the race to the small space. There are just thousands and thousands and thousands of buildings that until recently, the systems just weren't affordable enough for smaller buildings. My question for you, Drew, is how low can you go?
Well, our research and development team is really working to solve that problem right now as we speak with a wireless product line, with an intuitive mobile app that's going to interconnect all of these wireless devices. So we're taking that intuitiveness to the next level with the onset of mobile device technologies and things of that nature. We're able to really leverage that technology, bring it to the building automation industry as a whole, and we'll build smarter end devices, wireless sensors, wireless end devices that are going to interconnect, and you can commission them directly from your smartphone. So that's really going to kind of be an industry changer.
Very cool.
Well, that's really neat. What I think is very interesting is again, I was on the website, and it's www.computrols.com. But you guys started out as a service business, and it's amazing that you kind of decided at one point in time to take the reins into your own hands, because one of the comments is that if you're stuck in a building at 3 a.m. Reloading an operating system with a tape deck and you can't leave until it's finished, that experience will affect you forever.
Well said.
And that's that was from Roy Lynch, the Computrol's founder. I think it's very important for everybody to know in the Control Trends community that you guys really understand the business. Your history was that, out of frustration was born an idea to create your own product lines that would be more reliable on the front end to support it. So tell us a little bit about the evolution of Computrols.
Absolutely. I'm fairly new to the industry. I've been with Computrol 9 years now, so I hadn't experienced programming a system using a tape deck, but I've heard stories.
Yeah.
So, as you mentioned, Computrol started as a service company 33 years ago, and brothers Roy and Kevin Lynch were simply servicing third-party building automation systems. And he said, you know what? It's got to be simpler. There shouldn't have to be a certified trained technician to come out and make a logic change. And their kind of vision was, what if I created a intuitive software interface that could communicate to the existing field controllers within a building? We really have something there. Not having a background in computer science or computer programming, they set out to the University of New Orleans, where they found our now third owner and director of research and development, Mike Donnellan. And he set out to bring that vision to fruition by creating the CBAS software platform, Computrol's building automation software. And that software was originally a DOS-based system that was capable of doing a front-end replacement with a Honeywell Delta 1000 system. So we replaced the Honeywell Delta 1000 head-end with our CBAS head-end, and it communicated to the existing field controllers. And then we kind of grew via word of mouth, and then further developed our interfaces until the early 1990s, when we said, you know what, let's begin manufacturing our own line of products so that we can offer turnkey solutions to our customers, both software and hardware. And then out of demand from our customers said, hey, I really like your HVAC controls. I'm having problems with my fire alarm system. Will you guys make a fire alarm system? Thereby, we got into fire life safety. Then customer had a need for access control and lighting control, so on and so forth. So we've kind of organically grown through our customer base and meeting the needs that they need.
Very cool. Well, listen, what a story. I'd love to. We'll have to maybe do another episode just on the Lynch brothers, because they seem like they're an interesting group of guys. But I'm curious, how did you wind up with them, and what's your background, Drew?
It's by happenstance. Out of high school, I was working for a friend of my father's as an electrical helper. And one of the guys that I was working with, he left to go work for Computrol because his brother was working there. And he worked there for a couple of weeks, and then he picked up the phone and called me. He said, look, they need some electrical helpers here at Computrol. And I said, okay, well, I'll consider that. And I'm glad I did, because it's been a long journey over the course of almost 9 years now. I started as electrical helper, didn't really know anything about controls, and they've taught me everything I know in the industry now. Kind of have been groomed since then. Took on roles as a control technician after a while, then project manager. Ultimately moved to Tampa, Florida to be the branch manager of that office. Moved back to New Orleans after about 2 years. And took on a role of in operations, where I really started to learn more and more about the business side. Position for vice president of operations opened up, and then ultimately I was promoted to CEO recently.
Well, Drew, I got to ask you sort of a personal question. You don't look like you're that old. And you don't have to tell us how old you are, but here's where I'm going with that. You know, one of Ken's and my passions, as well as Ken Sinclair and other people, is we're trying to attract younger people into our industry because we see the industry just exploding. And, you know, so we at the Control Trends Awards, we have Young Gun Awards where we recognize the young superstars in our industry. But the question I have for you is for people, young people that are looking for a career, okay? You're preaching to the choir with me and Kenny, but what is it about this industry that makes us so attractive? Or why would you, if you're talking to some of your buddies over a beer, maybe some younger people just coming out of college, what is it about this industry that's great?
You know, it's innovative. The technology behind it and watching it grow over the course of the 9 years that I've been in the industry is really exciting. And I have the benefit of working for a manufacturer directly. My office is 5 feet away from our R&D guys, so I really get to be hands-on with the exciting technology that's going on. And when you come into our facility, and I imagine other manufacturers' facilities are the same, and you see that technology, it's just very impressive. And then many people, which is disappointing, are not very familiar with the building automation industry. And what I've been doing recently is beginning to explain to personnel that I run across that aren't familiar, look, home automation is becoming extremely popular. And you break it down to that level when you start talking about the Nest thermostat, Amazon Alexa, and things of that nature, they start to get it, and you can build off of it that way. And in terms of getting additional young team members involved, that's something that us as a organization kind of see and would like to be engaged with you guys as well, because I go back to when I was in high school, or even if I hadn't run across this guy that I happened to be working with, I still wouldn't be educated on the building automation industry. It's getting that word out there, having people know that there's a career path, a successful career path and opportunities within this industry. And I think that needs to start at the high school level. I can recall when I was in high school, and this is something that we'd like to do, is where I live, there's many chemical or oil refinery plants, and the refineries would come and say, hey, look, you graduate high school, you go do these courses, and you could be a process operator. And they took you through the entire process. I think having some sort of education platform where we can educate young people in about our industry, it'll be beneficial for all.
Well said.
Well said. Yeah, you know, Drew, some of the things that we need to talk about Computrol's and introduce to Control Trends is just how extensive your product line is. I mean, we can talk about the young guns forever, and what you said summed it up so well. So I wanted to move on to some of the hardware, software aspects of your company. I mean, I'm looking on your website right now, and you've got some pretty darn good looking stuff. And the YouTube video was really good about your manufacturing process and the footprint and your surface mount technology. Let's talk a little bit about the controllers first, and then the software. Tell us a little bit about your the LX controller series.
Right. So the LX is the latest model of controls. It's a replacement for the X line. One of Computrol's cornerstone things is we never obsolete or turn our products. We offer a lifetime warranty on everything that we manufacture. So we utilize what we refer to as a two-piece board design. You look at that board, there's a dumb terminal strip or dumb backplane that sits and mounts in a cabinet. And then there's a chassis that the actual smart controller lands on. And one of the unique things about our control boards, or those two series of control boards, is the fact that it's universal I/O. So any point can be configured as analog in, analog out, binary in, or binary out. In addition to that, there's two 485 communication channels that you can leverage to communicate Modbus, BACnet, N2, so on and so forth. Which makes it extremely powerful pieces of equipment. With the LX, you have an onboard web server and many data analytic features enabled with that controller as well.
Very nice. I see also that you have, in addition to the 100% compatible, you have some other neat features like the power down, unplug, just the way. So if you have any issues, I guess you can leave the existing baseboard on and just replace the. Let's say you have an existing installation, you want to upgrade. Is it simple, or am I making assumptions you could take that old one off and the new one on and not change your board?
That's absolutely correct. So that dumb backplane or terminal board mounts into the channel, and the brain board will remove from that chassis, that backplane. So all
Understood.
you're going to do to replace a bad controller is going to be power the controller down, unplug the Cat5 cable, plug the new one in. There's a handheld device to set the IP address. You set the IP address, and the database automatically downloads, and you're back up and running. So
Nice.
that's either whether you're repairing a failed board or upgrading to the future latest and greatest technology. That's your process. It's less than 3 minutes.
Very,
That's pretty
very cool,
impressive.
Drew.
Yeah.
Very cool. Kenny mentioned the YouTube channel or the YouTube videos. Are those actually on your website? I mean, and if so, what is the website people can go to get more information about this product line?
On the news and events section of our website, I believe you can access many of those videos, but you can also go to YouTube directly, and it's the Computrol's channel on YouTube.
Perfect. Computrols.com?
That's correct.
Perfect. Now, are you guys going to be at any shows coming up? Where can people find you? You guys going to be like at Realtime IBCon or Haystack or any of those shows that you're aware of?
Next week we're going to be at the smaller show in Tampa. Scott Holstein is going to be our marketing representative, is going to be speaking at that event. Florida Building Engineers and Maintenance, I believe.
Right.
And then,
Familiar with that group.
We'll also be we'll be attending. We have some members of our R&D team attending Haystack in Tampa.
Nice.
I believe in a month or so.
Yep. We'll be there.
In addition to that, I think we're going to be doing APA. I'm not 100% sure on that, unfortunately. Scott handles the majority of our marketing, and
we're familiar with APA, the Association of Physical Plant Administrators. Yeah, that's a great organization, mostly the universities, and they do a lot of networking. So if you get into one part of the organization, they network very well and can spread the word. It's a good,
Absolutely.
very good, well-attended show. Drew, I wanted to just help get the Control Trends community aware of just what else Computrol's offers. You have a Computrol's building automation system software called CBAS Web. Can we talk a little bit about that? Give us some feature benefits.
Yes, sir. One of actually, CBAS Web was born out of a need for one of our customers. A high-rise building in Houston, Texas that we do, and they wanted to, rather than doing phone overtime air, they wanted to have web-based way of tenants could log into the system and schedule overtime air, and then the platform would automatically invoice for consumption. And that's kind of grown into, we also utilize that same platform for kWh consumption, BTU consumption, and lighting consumption. So overtime air is how that product came to be, and it's evolved over the course of its life. And now it features access control, where tenants can log in a commercial real estate building, request access cards, view reports on their card data for their people within their company. In addition to that, it also offers a web-based user interface into any CBAS system, so you can access any of your systems from your mobile device, any web browser.
It's pretty impressive. It seems to be very complete too. It has a interface for mobile access, like you said, simple graphics, dashboards, access controls, advanced reporting, customizable interface, scalability, security camera security, and also a server. So, I mean, you wouldn't need to buy any additional products. You buy one CBAS front end and you're all set, correct?
That's absolutely correct. One of the things that I failed to mention was the dashboard feature is you get real-time dashboards on your energy consumption or any data that you want to see on a live dashboard that you can access from anywhere.
Awesome.
Hey, Drew, this is great stuff. Our guest is Drew Mire, and since you're from New Orleans, our fans want to know how the Saints are going to be this year, and you kind of look like Drew Brees, so we're going to call you Drew Brees Mire, if that's okay with you.
That works. That works.
All right. Listen, buddy, thanks so much for coming on. We'd love to get you back. Definitely check these guys out, Computrols.com. Drew, thanks for taking some time to be with us today.
I greatly appreciate you all having me, and I look forward to returning.
You bet, buddy.
Super.
We'll get you back
Thanks.
on soon. Thanks, Drew. Well, there you go, Kenny, man. Another great week on Control Talk Now, the Smart Buildings Videocast and Podcast. A special thanks to our guest this week, Roy Barnwell from DLR Company, and to Drew Breesmeyer from Computrol. Great guest. We appreciate you guys. And thanks to Frost Sullivan for setting us up with Roy. And with that, Kenny Smyers, it's another week. We will be at CGNA next week, so we will be broadcasting from Controls Group North America. Hopefully we'll get some of the best distributors in the world on the show so you can see them up close and personal. But with that, to our audience, thanks for tuning in. Remember, be bold, stay in control.
Indeed, Eric.
Indeed. Kenny, give me your thumbs, buddy. Put those thumbs up.
They were there.
There you go. Okay, give them up. Give them up. Good. Put a little face out there. Come on, you get it. Come on. All right. Remember, be bold, stay in control.
Indeed, Eric.
Indeed. Okay. All right, brother. Have a great week.